Ontario Premier Doug Ford says Albertans need to elect Jason Kenney as their next premier in May and create a coalition of provinces united from the Rocky Mountains to the St. Lawrence River in opposition to the federal government's carbon tax. At an anti-carbon tax rally in downtown Calgary Friday evening, Ontario's rookie progressive Conservative Premier told a standing-room-only crowd that momentum is growing against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's plan to put a price on pollution by the end of this year. He said Mr. Kenney's election would solidify opposition against Ottawa. "Moving forward, we will defeat the NDP and we will bring common sense back to Alberta," said Mr. Ford, who echoed many of his speaking notes from his own election earlier this year where he defeated former Liberal Premier Kathleen Wynne. "Justin Trudeau, my message to you is very clear: you either support jobs, families and the hard-working people of Canada, or you support a carbon tax, but I'll tell you, you can't sit on the fence," continued the Premier. Mr. Ford also celebrated Manitoba Premier Brian Pallister's announcement on Wednesday that his province was cancelling a planned carbon tax and joining efforts to stop the federal plan in court. Mr. Kenney, Alberta's United Conservative leader, has vowed to be part of a court challenge mounted by Saskatchewan and joined by Ontario to challenge the constitutionality of the federal plan. "Governments in Edmonton and Ottawa are stacking the deck against Albertans," said Mr. Kenney, who promised to call a special session of the legislature to repeal the carbon tax in his first act as Premier. The Conservative leader criticised Alberta Premier Rachel Notley for introducing a carbon tax after her election, despite not campaigning explicitly on the tax. "It isn't just the biggest tax hike in Alberta history, it's the biggest lie in Alberta history," he said. There was laughter in the room when Mr. Kenney said that the carbon tax was supposed to help build a pipeline to the BC coast.